Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is Maj Mahalla Tija. Sabad Marai so Mua Jape, Kaal na chape, Dukh na santape, Jyoti vich mil jyot samani, Sun man sach samavਣਿਆ ਹਉ ਵਾਰੀ ਜੀਉ ਵਾਰੀ ਹਰ ਕੇ ਨਾਏ ਸੋਭਾ ਪਾਵਣਿਆ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸੇਵ ਸਚ ਚਿਤ ਲਾਇਆ ਗੁਰਮਤੀ ਸਹਿਜ ਸਮਾਵਣਿਆ ਰਹਾਉ ਕਾਇਆ ਕੱਚੀ ਕੱਚਾ ਚੀਰ ਹੰਢਾਏ ਦੂਜੇ ਲਾਗੀ ਮਹਿਲ ਨ ਪਾਏ ਅਨਦਿਨ ਜਲਦੀ ਫਿਰੇ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤੀ ਬਿਨ ਪਿਰ ਬਹੁ ਦੁੱਖ ਪਾਵਣਿਆ ਦੇਹੀ ਜਾਤ ਨ ਆਗੈ ਜਾਏ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਲੇਖਾ ਮੰਗੀਐ ਤਿੱਥੈ ਛੁੱਟੇ ਸੱਚ ਕਮਾਏ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸੇਵਨ ਸੇ ਧਨਵੰਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਨਾਮ ਸਮਾਵਣਿਆ ਪੈ ਭਾਏ ਸਿਗਾਰ ਬਣਾਏ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦੀ ਮਹਿਲ ਘਰ ਪਾਏ ਅੰਦਨ ਸਦਾ ਰਵੇ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤੀ ਮਜੀਠੇ ਰੰਗ ਬਣਾਵਣਿਆ ਸਭਨਾ ਪਿਰ ਵਸੈ ਸਦਾ ਨਾਲੇ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦੀ ਕੋ ਨਦਰ ਨਿਹਾਲੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਅਤੀ ਊਚੋ ਊਚਾ ਕਰ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਆਪ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਿਆ ਮਾਇਆ ਮੋਹ ਇਹ ਜਗ ਸੁੱਤਾ ਨਾਮ ਵਿਸਾਰ ਅੰਤੇ ਵਿਗੁੱਤਾ ਜਿਸ ਤੇ ਸੁੱਤਾ ਸੋ ਜਾਗਾਏ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਸੋਝੀ ਪਾਵਣਿਆ ਅਪਿਓ ਪੀਐ ਸੋ ਭਰਮ ਭੁਲ ਗਵਾਏ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਮੁਕਤ ਗਤ ਪਾਏ ਭਗਤੀ ਰਤਾ ਸਦਾ ਬੈਰਾਗੀ ਆਪ ਮਾਰ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਿਆ ਆਪ ਉਪਾਏ ਧੰਦੇ ਲਾਏ ਲੱਖ 84 ਰਿਜਕ ਆਪ ਅਪੜਾਏ ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਧਿਆਏ ਸਚ ਰਾਤੇ ਜੋ ਤਿਸ ਭਾਵੈ ਸੋ ਕਾਰ ਕਰਾਵਣਿਆ The Sabad is in Rag Maj, composed by the third Nanak Guru Amar Das, and we will do a free translation, or rather transcreation, from the top, and then try and understand the gist of the passage. It begins by Sabad Marai so Mua Jape, the one who dissolves the ego in the Shabad, that is to say, one who imbibes the message of the Sabad by giving up one's own conditioned thinking. So, in other words, self-knowledge, one who acquires knowledge of the self. So, Mua Jape is dead actually, but what that means is such a mind becomes indifferent to the world. Jape appears indifferent. And such a mind is not bogged down by the trammels of time. Kal na chape. Nor is the suffering of disharmony with hukam felt. Dukha na santape. If you will recall, we have dealt with the idea of dukh and sukh. And dukh is simply being out of sync with hukam. And the blending of the light with light, jyoti, jyoti which mil jyot samani, simply means that now we have adopted the thinking of gurmat. And when that happens, the blending of the light with light, then the mind receives eternal wisdom. Sunman sach samavaniya. I yield and submit to those who have received the brilliance of self-knowledge. How vari jiyo vari, har ke nae sobha pavaniya. Sobha, splendor, brilliance. Satgur sev sach chit laya, gurmati sahaj samavaniya. So again, an emphasis, Satgur sev, by imbibing the teachings of Gurmat, Satchit Laya, the mind is fixed in the self, Gurmati Sahaj Samavaniya. So through good wisdom, the mind finds its home and is therefore serene and in a state of equipoise, sahaj, spontaneous. It's no longer conditioned. Kaya kacha cheer handai, again speaking to the impermanence of things and to the immature mind that attaches itself to the perishable body. Kaya kacha cheer handai, duje lagi mahal na paye. And by attachment to fleeting pleasures, that is duje lagi, it fails to find its stabilizing center. So an immature mind attaches itself or identifies itself with a perishable body, then attaches itself to fleeting pleasures, and therefore cannot find its own stabilizing center, mahal na paye. And what happens to it is, andin jaldi fire din rati, jaldi to burn. It simmers in a constant churn. And without self-guidance, it remains in a disagreeable state. Pir baho dukha pavanaya. Pir, husband, here signifying the self, the leader, the one who should be leading you. Without direction, you are then out of sync with hukam, and the result is bahut dukh, a lot of unhappiness, a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety, and that simmers inside your mind. Dehi jat na aage jaye. Indulging the body or in caste pride does not advance the cause. It is not of any help. It does not lead to maturation of the mind, which is our goal. The mind should mature into the self. Jithe lekha mangiya, tithe chutta sach kamaya. So where we have to account for ourselves, and we do, there success is assured only if we live in harmony with hukam. So that's really the litmus test. And the Guru says, Satgur sevan se tanvante, ethe uthe naam samavaniya. Those who have adopted the teachings of the true enlightener, the Satgur sevan se tanvante, wealthy, wealth of knowledge. They are rich because they are constantly guided by the self, and they have achieved success. So the Guru is saying, here's what you should do. Pay paye cigar banaye. Respect, reverence, and love as your adornment. Reverence for the teachings of the Guru, and love, devotion. Do that, and then Guru Prasadi Mahal Kar Paye. Follow the guidance and find the abode of the self within. With respect and with love and with devotion, follow the guidance of the Guru Enlightener. And through the Guru Prasad, which is the insight that you will get, the gift of the Guru, you will find the centering, the stabilizing center of your mind. And then, andin sada rave din rati, majithe rang banavanaya, day and night, forever. Enjoy, rave, lasting bliss. Majithe refers to a color that is fast, a dye that does not fade. Sabna pir vasai sada nalle. The husband's self is forever present within us. Gur Prasadi ko nadar nihale. But rare are those who develop this vision with the Guru Enlightened's guidance. Mera Prabh at ucho ucha kar kirpa aap milavanaya. My Prabh self, that is to say, the attribute of wisdom within, is supreme, and by its benevolence is supreme consciousness achieved. Kar kripa aap milai. Maya moho e jag sutta, naam visar ante vigutta. Jiste sutta so jagaye gurmat soji pavanaya. Mesmerized by the pull of attachments, one's true self is forgotten. Maya mohe jag sutta, and then what happens is naam visar. Self-knowledge is forgotten. The world is in a trance, which leads to frustration. Antavigutta. In the end, frustration is all that is your lot. One awakens to that self which was forgotten, jiste sutta so jagaye, when the mind discerns Gurmat, the teaching of the Guru Enlightened. Jiste sutta so jagaye, Gurmat soji pavanaya. The word here is soji, and it is in contrast to the word samaj, which I would suggest to you is saying that it is not here a matter of samaj but soji, and there is a distinction. Samaj really is something that you grasp at the intellectual level. Soji is something that you intuitively become aware of, that sort of settles and sinks into the deeper being. And it is intuitive in nature. It is not just kind of grasping something like reading a book and then saying, yep, I get it. It is much, much deeper. And then, having imbibed this life-giving essence, apayo piyo, which is gurmat, what happens is the delusionary spell of Maya is broken. Apayo piye, apayo here stands for Amrit. Amrit, of course, the elixir of self-knowledge. Apayo piye, when that is drunk, so param gavai, that person frees, breaks away from self-doubt and illusion. Bhakti rata sada bairagi aap maar milavanaya. That mind or that individual is filled with devotional love and yearning for the Creator Self. And that is how the sense of personal identity, the ego, is dissolved. Aap upay tande lai. So the self, the Creator Self within, manifests as creation and employs it for its ends. In other words, what we see around us is the play of this Creator, and He has created this play for its own enjoyment. Diversity that we see is something that has been brought forth by this creative force for its own ends, and we can only guess what those ends might be, but we might get some understanding of it. And with self-knowledge, one is imbued with love of that self-creator. That's where we have to get to. Then one is in harmony with Hukam. So this Sabad is holding out exemplars of Gurmat for us to emulate. And so what are some of these signs of such individuals? Obviously, the one is who dissolves the ego in the solvent of the Sabad and becomes indifferent to the world. Now, we have to be careful. Becoming indifferent doesn't mean abrogating responsibilities or accountabilities or not being engaged. Remember, a few Sabads ago, we said we have to say yes to the world. Affirm our complete engagement with the world. So being indifferent has a different connotation here. That is to say, to be engaged but not to be concerned with the outcome. So when the wisdom of Gurmat illuminates the mind, the blind spot which has been caused by the shadow of ego is removed. And when that is removed, the trance-like spell of Maya is revealed. You actually see your true nature. No longer does the mind perceive itself as a finite, small center of experience. That is what you become indifferent to this small, finite center of experience that you know as the I. Instead, one comes to recognize the diversity of creation as a manifestation of the self, a stage on which the cosmic play is being directed by the self. There's only one actor, manifesting as a multitude of actors. So this recognition that the self is the essence behind existence makes the mind, as I said, indifferent to the world, where the world here also signifies the ego. That is what frees us from delusional attachments. We are no longer concerned with personal outcomes, but become engaged in enlightened action that is in harmony with the natural order and is committed to a larger good. So the counsel for us in this Shabad is to follow those who have tread the path of Gurmat. Look for mentors, look for like-minded people, yield and submit to them, try and understand from them. And by following them, you'll connect with the true enlightener within. The mind will become fixed on the truth. You will find serenity, tranquility, and be blissfully engaged with this world. On that note, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Until the next time.